Hey Astra Kids, and welcome back. And this is your horoscope for the new moon in Gemini coming up here on June 28th. Let's go ahead and jump right into this. So up on the screen here are the details for this transit of the new moon shifting ahead here into the sign of Gemini. This will take place on June 28th, 2022, around 10:51 p.m. Eastern Time, and this will be taking place in the Nakshatra of Ardra. Ardra is sitting in the middle of Gemini from 6 degrees 40 minutes until 20 degrees of Gemini, and this is a Rahu Nakshatra. Ardra is called the star of sorrow. It is symbolized by a teardrop, by a diamond, or by a human head. And Ardra is the first of the Rahu Nakshatras. It is ruled over by the deity of Rudra, which is a fierce form of Shiva, which is the storm god. And so this nakshatra has everything to do with storms of difficult periods within our lives. Ardra is especially, as it is a Rahu-controlled nakshatra, dealing with the storms that are happening within our psyche. This is Rahu, which is a node of the moon. The moon is representing the mind. And so here in Ardra, we can see a storm taking place within the mind. This is represented by the human head showing the over-intellectualizing and analyzing of things, which is creating this immense pressure and chaos within the mind. Ardra is all about overcoming these challenges that are happening within the psyche. It is represented by a diamond, and a diamond has to go through immense pressure to turn into something beautiful. And so the Shakti or power that is found within Ardra is the power to make efforts, to go through these difficult and challenging experiences and to overcome it. So here in Ardra, we see Rahu's ability to go through intense transformations and difficulties, but to gain great strength and power through those experiences and to rise into something great. Ardra here in Gemini has everything to do with releasing the past, letting go of what no longer serves you. Again, we are here in Gemini, which has to do with pushing ahead, taking the initiative. It is that original third house of the zodiac, which is the house of courage and skills. So this has everything to do with our personal development, our ability to push forward through the obstacles and challenges of life. This new moon is very powerful here in this Ardra Nakshatra. A new moon, of course, is a period where this is all about new beginnings, starting a new phase in our life. And here in Ardra, we must first release and let go of what no longer serves us in order to pave our way forward. So this has everything to do with the perseverance, the courage, the determination to push forward. The deity that rules over Ardra is Rudra, once again, this fierce form of Shiva that is acting as the storm god. And Rudra was depicted as being very exotic, very eccentric, going against the norms, and was very much an outcast, unaccepted by the other deities. And so Rudra has to do with taking your own path and owning who you are, having the courage to put yourself out, like that third house of our chart, which is that first stage in our personal development, taking the initiative to put ourselves forward, to develop skills, to put ourselves out in the world in terms of our talents, our intelligence, our communication, every skill and talent that we have under our belt. And so this new moon has everything to do with pursuing the things that you want to achieve, making the effort, putting yourself out there to move in the direction that you want to go. But first, there is releasing that has to take place. Once again, Ardra is the star of sorrow, represented by a teardrop. So the releasing, the letting go, the cathartic moment of crying, of shedding the tears of the past. And so this has to do with letting go, releasing what no longer serves you so that you can make room to move forward. This will also be receiving an aspect over from Ketu that sits in Libra. Once again, ever since April, we've been in this transit here of this Rahu Aries, Ketu Libra. And with Rahu there in Aries, it has everything to do with our personal journey. Aries is the sign of self, the very first sign where the ego is born, creating individuality. So this Rahu Aries is all about going our own way, going after what we want. On the negative side, it is creating this illusion, this shadow effect of selfishness, of ego, of focusing only on oneself, while Ketu is sitting in Libra, where we have the experience to relate and connect to others. But this Ketu is very detached, very disconnected, where we are pulling away from others, moving more towards ourselves. So we have this whole karmic shadow effect of these nodes that is pushing and pulling us towards ourselves and our own destiny and away from others, and having to relate and connect on a joint level with this Ketu Libra. Very intense transit, and of course these nodes are very unhappy in their positions. Rahu would much rather be in the sign of Libra, as Rahu actually is controlling the middle section of Libra that is found in the Swati Nakshatra, as Rahu is all about the fame, the material world. It is all about being seen and noticed. It is all about going after your desires and your destiny and life. And this Ketu, very unhappy in the sign of Aries, as Ketu has everything to do with spirituality, detachment, letting go, moving towards your intuition, towards God, towards the things that are not of this material world. And of course, this Aries energy has everything to do with individuality, where this Ketu energy is very unhappy. So we have this intense energy happening here with Ketu that's in Libra, where we have this very windy, stormy effect happening here. As Ketu is a very fiery, smoky energy. It has everything to do with heat and intensity, and it's taking place in this windy, airy sign of Libra. So we have these intense winds, this intense pressure that's happening on this Ketu Libra end and on the Rahu Aries. This Rahu energy amplifies anything that it touches and is very windy, adding to this fiery sign of Aries. So a lot of heat, a lot of intensity, a lot of intense transformations, and again, this whole theme around the self versus the other. So Libra there pulling us towards relationships, and Aries pulling us towards ourself. So finding the balance between these two extremes is the entire lesson of this Rahu Ketu transit that we have just entered into. As this Ketu is creating an aspect over to this new moon, remember that Ketu is a shadow planet, and so anything that it aspects, it's going to absorb the qualities of that. And Ketu in particular wants to disconnect, so it's going to take away from the qualities. And so as Ketu comes into this aspect, this is a huge time of looking at your spiritual purpose, of what you are moving towards and connecting to that serves you, and what you're letting go of. This Ketu wants to let go of connections that are no longer for us. And so this new moon here is very interesting. We have the ruler of Gemini, Mercury, the depositor of this new moon, that is back behind the new moon in Taurus in a conjunction with Venus. And so this has everything to do with attachments, connections. And because this is the dispositor behind the new moon, it is 12th away from it, the loss of it. And so this is, again, about letting go of old attachments and connections that are no longer for you. Rahu, of course, is the ruler of this nakshatra, and it's there in the sign of Aries, focusing on our individual path and purpose. And so what is holding you back as far as your relationships, your attachments? What are the negative attachments that are derailing your success that need to be let go of? This especially has everything to do with letting go of old, outdated moments in your life of regrets, of fears, of these negative attachments, these cords that have affected you. Letting go of this entirely and making the effort to push forward through this Ardra Nakshatra. So let's go ahead and take a look at this new moon and how it will affect each of you according to your zodiac signs. And just a quick disclaimer before we get into this. For this horoscope, I will be using Vedic astrology and not Western tropical astrology. So Vedic astrology is using the sidereal zodiac. If you are not familiar with what your sidereal zodiac sign is, there is a calculator down below in the description. Another disclaimer is that this is not according to your sun sign. These horoscopes will be according to your moon sign or your ascendant. The moon represents your mind, everything that is perceived within your mind and everything that is manifested in your external environment from your mind. It is a reflection of your entire life. And the ascendant is a map of your karmas and life experiences. So these are the most important aspects to look at when it comes to your horoscope. So starting off here, for those of you with an Aries moon or Aries ascendant, this will be a new moon taking place in your third house. All about starting a new venture, a new course, a new path in your life. This third house, once again, has to do with your skills, your courage, your learning, your early development. So any kind of new hobby, new task, new skill that you want to learn, great time to take this on. This can also be a time of clearing out old difficulties centered around siblings and close connections. This is a time to start fresh, to make some room to move forward here, to release everything that is no longer for you. Again, this is a huge time to pave the way for a new path, a new direction for many of you, especially as Rahu is the ruler of this nakshatra and has gone into your first house of self. This entire transit of Rahu, Ketu, Aries, Libra has everything to do with you moving in a brand new direction. For those of you with a Taurus moon or Taurus ascendant, this will be a new moon taking place in your second house. This can create some dramatic effects around your finances, around your security. It is time to let go of something that is no longer serving you, to start to make room for what will serve you in the months to come. So this is creating a brand new foundation, a brand new source of stability, finding a new way to move ahead here. Rahu has gone back behind your ascendant in the 12th house, where there's a lot to release and let go of at this time. For those of you with a Gemini moon, Gemini ascendant, this is a new moon taking place in your first house. Very prominent position here in a Kendra, and especially in your first house of self. This is affecting your entire life. And so this new moon coming here into the first house is a brand new start for many of you. This can be a very emotional time. Again, we're here in this Ardra Nakshatra, where this has to do with releasing the challenges and difficulties of the past, overcoming this, transforming, moving forward. And so this is a huge time to look at your past, to look at the things that you have been holding on to and seeing what needs to go in order for you to move forward. For those of you with a Cancer moon or Cancer ascendant, this is a new moon taking place in your 12th house. The moon is the ruler of your chart and has gone behind you. So this is a huge time to go inward, to reflect. This is not a time of action. This is a time of rest. This new moon going back in this 12th house means that there is a lot of deep contemplation and inner work to do at this time. There's a lot here that needs to be released and let go of from your past so that you can move forward as we step into this new moon that comes up next month. For those of you with a Leo moon, Leo ascendant, this is a new moon taking place in your 11th house. Very prominent position, and especially as this is taking place in the Ardra Nakshatra, Rahu controlled. So this is a great opportunity for some success, some fame, some popularity to come through in this new moon. But remember that this has everything to do with letting go of what no longer serves you. And Rahu, the ruler of this nakshatra, has gone back into your 9th house. So this has everything to do with releasing and letting go of your past beliefs. What are those old, outdated belief systems that no longer serve you? And everything to do with your career, as Mercury, the dispositor of this new moon, has gone into this 10th house. Again, your popularity, how you're being seen in the public, is the theme of this new moon. For those of you with a Virgo moon, Virgo ascendant, this will be a new moon taking place in your 10th house. Very prominent here in a Kendra house, one of the main houses of your chart. This has everything to do with your public image, how you're showing up in the world. And we have this Rahu ruling over Ardra that has gone back into your 8th house. Very dramatic, where you can see some sudden changes occurring in your life as far as your direction. We have this Mercury, the dispositor, going into the 9th house. And so this can definitely be a time of developing new skills, new opportunities that will take you along a new path in your career. For those of you with a Libra moon, Libra ascendant, this will be a new moon taking place in your 9th house. Time to develop a new philosophy, a new belief system, a new path here. We have Rahu that's gone back into your 7th house. Again, very prominent transit with Ketu there in the 1st and Rahu in the 7th house, where this is all about your relationships, your connections, and how much time are you taking for yourself? How much do you understand yourself with this K2 transiting through your 1st house of self? We have Mercury, the dispositor of this new moon, that's gone into your 8th house. And so this has a lot to do with transforming how you are approaching your relationships, changing your beliefs, changing your views of how you're going to approach relationship matters. Once again, this Ketu Rahu transit is very dramatic for those of you with Libra moon, Libra ascendant, needing to find a way to take care of yourself more, to pay more attention to your values, and to set the proper boundaries is very important. For those of you with a Scorpio moon, Scorpio ascendant, this will be a new moon taking place in your 8th house. Very intense. The moon is a very positive planet, but it has gone behind its own house into this 8th house of sudden ups and downs. And so this can definitely be a time where you are going through dramatic changes in your life, transforming things on a very deep level, especially when it comes to your relationships. We have this Mercury, the dispositor of this new moon, that's gone into your 7th house of other people, and Rahu that is directly behind it in the house of separation and divorce. So this can definitely be a time of looking at your connections, looking at what serves you, what doesn't, and starting to clear out those old, outdated connections, making room for some new possibilities to come in here. Big time for transformation for those of you with Scorpio moon, Scorpio ascendant. For those of you with a Sagittarius moon, Sagittarius ascendant, this is a new moon in your 7th house of other people. Relationships are huge at this time. This can be a big opportunity for new people to come into your life. This can be romantic, as we have this Rahu that's gone back into your 5th house. But this especially is a time of friendship, of business partnerships, of any sort of relating coming in. Be wary of romantic connections, making sure that you are taking the proper time to get to know others. This Rahu, remember, is creating illusions as it comes back into this 5th house. And so you want to be careful about who you are connecting with. You want to take the time to actually get to know them and not to fall in love with the ideal of them or the illusion that's being presented. We have this Mercury dispositor that's gone behind this new moon. So this definitely can be a time of cutting ties with old friendships, old connections, making room for these new people to come into your life. This will be a new moon taking place in your 6th house. And so this has everything to do with starting a brand new chapter here as far as your health, your responsibilities, how you're approaching your everyday life. And we have Rahu that's gone back into this 4th house. So this especially is about, are you taking care of yourself? Are you nurturing yourself properly? This Rahu Ketu has been very intense for many of you here, as we have Ketu in this 10th house, creating a little bit of a disconnection or dissatisfaction in your career life, and Rahu wanting you to move from your location, from your home, to make dramatic changes. But this is not a great time to make changes, as we have this K2 in the 10th house. You need to stick to your career path, to your responsibilities, to make sure that you have the solid foundation. This Rahu in the 4th house is not to be trusted as far as making big decisions in your home life. We have Mercury that has gone into your 6th house, the dispositor of this new moon. And so this is especially a time to keep up with your creative hobbies, to keep up with the things that you enjoy. Big time to focus on your happiness, on what is making you healthy, keeping you in a state of peace and joy. This is important for your mental health at this time. For those of you with an Aquarius moon, Aquarius ascendant, we have a new moon taking place in your 5th house. Big opportunity for many of you. This new moon can open up doorways for you to create, to express, to explore, to have fun in your life, to explore new possibilities. This is the 5th house of the stage, of performance, of speculation, of good fortune, of your skills, your knowledge, your creative talents. So big time to start up a new project for many of you with this new moon here. Once again, remember, you have to clear out everything from the past. And so what have you been holding on to that's been stopping you from starting this new book, this new project, whatever this is that you want to create and work on? Time to clear out some clutter so that you can make room for this to happen. We have Mercury that is the dispositor that's gone into your 4th house. So this especially is about connecting inward with your mind, your imagination, your creativity, tapping into this potential. Rahu even has gone into your 3rd house, where this has everything to do with your skills, your talents, your hobbies. Making use of this, seeing this through until the end is huge. For those of you with a Pisces moon, Pisces ascendant, this will be a new moon taking place in your 4th house. Thinking about some new investments as far as your home, as far as where you're going in your life. Trying to find a new source of stability and peace for many of you. But this Rahu is back in your 2nd house, where this is actually a huge time of managing the changes and responsibilities centered around your money, your security. So this is a very unstable time to make dramatic decisions about your home life, about your security. You want to make sure that you're on top of everything. There's a major cleaning that's happening in this area, where the old attachments as far as your money, your wealth, your career, all of that is being dramatically changed. So hold on at this time and make sure that you are staying in a place of peace, of happiness. Great time for meditation with this new moon here in this 4th house. This can create a very restless mind, a very active mind of wanting to jump into things dramatically. But take your time, find those practices that bring you some peace and relaxation. We have Mercury that's gone here into your 3rd house, the dispositor. So this is definitely a time to plan, to strategize, to come up with what is your direction, but not to make hasty decisions about this.